So I was talking to somebody the other day. Not anybody important, just a young person who I believe was 18, but I'm not totally sure, to be honest with you. And this person was telling me, Dan, you know, I'm really concerned about the future because I just feel like there's so much going on, you know, all this stuff that's happening with ice in Minneapolis. It's supposed to be negative 40 degrees there tomorrow, I think. And I even saw this thing. This is what I'm saying, not the other person. I saw this thing this morning that was like the trees. There's like an exploding tree alert because when it gets so cold, the sap inside of the trees rapidly expands and can make the trees explode, you know? And I was like, holy F, you know? And then I was investigating a little further, and the people were saying, hey, you know, this really isn't that big of a deal. It happens, you know, every time that it's negative 40 and we get negative 40 degree temperatures all the time. It's just clickbait. And I was like, oh, great. You know, another scumbag who's just trying to get a quick click. And then, of course, you know, this immigration stuff is just making me sick, you know. And this person was telling me, Dan, I just feel like we're in the end times. That's really what I think. And honestly, that's the only thing that makes me feel better is the fact that, you know, this is it. And it's over. And I was like, well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but it's not over. The world is not ending, and it will not end anytime soon. Things are bad, yes, but they are probably going to continue being bad for a very long time and probably going to get even worse for a long, long time. Probably long after you're dead, you know. I mean, I really do not think that the end is coming anytime soon. It will for you, you know, but there's still going to be a bunch of people after you who are going to have to live in this world, you know? And I think that a lot of people tend to and I understand it. I understand why people's coping mechanisms with this type of stuff, they can feel very overwhelming. You know, and the human brain was not designed to process as much information as we do. You know, we're designed to go through the day and be like, oh, there's a buffalo over there. Well, spear the buffalo and we'll have it for dinner. You know, our brain isn't meant to have a box that shows us, you know, everything that's going on in Nicaragua. You know, and then that orphan was killed today by a you know, another orphan. You know, it just is like, and it kind of overloads our brain. Now, like I said, things are horrible and they are getting worse. But it would be a mistake to let yourself off the hook for doing anything about it, because it's tempting in the moment to just sort of want to wring your hands of it and say, oh, well, you know, there's nothing that I can do. This is the boomers' fault. You know, this is the fault of everybody that came before me. They made this world horrible for me to live in. And now I have to suffer the consequences. Now, here's the thing. Do you think that future generations are going to say the same thing about you? This is a point that I've kind of revisited a lot. you know. But I can't help but wonder if decades from now, people are going to look back at our generation once it has gotten much, much worse than this. And people are going to say, well, why didn't they do anything? And that's being generous. Probably what they're going to say is they made it so much worse and they were selfish. Exactly the same way that we feel about previous generations. It's not like all of a sudden, you know, the future generations are going to be like, oh man, well, that generation, they really added pretty hard. I feel bad for them. You know. We're just going to be more on the pile of Tinder. Not the app, the Tinder, you know, like wood burning. And they will be right. And I think that that's disappointing for a lot of people. You know, because it's sort of like an escape hatch. They get to say, well, it's a relief. I don't have to do anything or have any responsibility for myself or the world around me. Now, I don't know what that means, you know. I just know that we are living in a world where, you know, whether you want to say it's corporations, whether you want to say it's other people, each other, politicians, you know, our supreme overlords, billionaires, blah, blah, blah. I think, to be honest, everybody is partially responsible in some way. Some people are more responsible than others. But we don't have time to litigate that. You know, these people are trying to see how bad they can get away with making it. They are trying to see how far they can push us. Because for them, that means maybe more money. Usually it's more money, you know, more power, more what have you. And they are probably like, you know, looking around thinking, holy shit, we got away with all this? What if we push it a little more, you know? What if we make the airplane seats a little smaller? What if we make the fees on the credit card a little higher? What if we make rent higher? You know? And they get away with it every time. So that's really what it is. It's the incremental worsening of things because people just want to see how much they can get away with. And they are right. Because from what I've seen, nobody's gonna do anything about it anytime soon. So they have a lot more room. They can push us a lot further. Now, I don't know how far, but as of right now, they've got a whole long way to go before anybody decides to do anything about it in a material way. You know? And simply put, there's more of us than there are of them. So the idea, nothing scares them more than the idea of us fill in the blank. But think about all the times that anybody has ever reversed course on something. Usually it's because the people scared them. And it's not hard. But in order for that to happen, it's like one of us by ourselves is not scary. But all of us, that's pretty scary. Now, are we anywhere near the place where we could attempt to all act as one? No. But maybe someday. And I sincerely hope, even though I am not planning on having children, I have a responsibility to keep the world going. I don't know why. And you can say, well, no, you don't. You know what? You didn't ask to be born. That's true, but I was. And now I have a responsibility. Why are we all here? I don't know. But we are. And that means something.